Hello, everyone. It's Kerry George from CIBN TV on YouTube today, and also with CIBN, the organization that helps you with networking and masterminds. You can find us at thecibn.com. Anyways, I am excited today because I am on day 2 of the Productivity Challenge. And yesterday we talked about a ton of things. We actually talked about how to organize ourselves in a way to get more done in less time and to work smarter instead of harder. We talked about those task lists, those to-do lists that drive you crazy, that are just continuously growing and growing and growing, and how to prioritize things on the task list and how to get the projects, the things that are going to take longer than an hour, off the task list and into time blocked time so that we could get more accomplished in a shorter period of time. Now, I know everybody wants to have a little bit of time off in the summer. Of course, you want to get some things done. You want to be, productive, but at the same time, you do want to enjoy your family and your life. And there is that call of the warm weather and doing things outdoors more than ever before. So we're going to be sharing some more tips today on how to be productive, get lots done, and keep moving towards those goals, even though, the summer is calling you and beckoning you. But let's not let it derail you, which it will be happy to do if we just let ourselves get swept away in that summer breeze. All right, so yesterday we had lots of things we covered. We also talked about the ant fable that I had made up, and how do you get all of these extra little pieces like the workbook and the ant fable and all these other little items. We have a link that you can sign up for the challenge, and I'm just going to show it here on the bottom. It's just an Infusionsoft link. And you can actually go and sign up for that, and then you can get a bunch of little pieces that go with this. And today I'm going to be talking about another one of the pieces that goes with this. And it's called the planned path. So we're going to be talking about that. And I'm also going to be talking about color coding your calendar and why that is so effective. So first of all, let me start out today with the planned path. What is the planned path? Well, it is a little kind of a mini book, a journal that I put together that helps people get organized and also helps you to put together your goals in a way that it keeps driving you forward. So one of the reasons why we stagnate, sit still, put things aside till later, is because we are not keeping our goals in front of us, and we're not keeping stimulated to get things moving in the goal arena, because maybe we're just like, well, we'll look at goals again in the fall, right? Don't want to get too excited because I got lots going on. But when we don't have that forward moving action, business is kind of like, you're sinking or you're swimming, but you don't really get to tread water very long, because otherwise you're going to start sinking. So how do you do that? Well, goal setting is an important piece of this, because if you actually have some goals that are driving you forward and you're thinking about goals, you tend to not just forget your task list and forget what to do, because your goals drive you. So last year, a year into the pandemic, I've often done a lot of goal setting with our organization and people that come and see us, that are business owners and entrepreneurs and professionals at CIBN. And last year, I started doing something a little bit different with goal setting. We always did like a 90-day quarter launch at CIBN Connect, where we would help people kind of think about their business in a way like a big business and work in 90-day increments. But last year, I started doing something even a little bit more extra, because what I found was after the pandemic, many people were kind of in a spot where they were frozen. They kind of come to a place where they stopped, and we needed a reboot. So my favorite reboot tool now is this thing that I call the planned path. And what the planned path is, it's where you sit down and you actually write down 101 goals. Now, I know that sounds excessive, doesn't it? It is excessive, but it gets you thinking, and it gets you planning, and it gets your heart racing a little bit. And isn't that what some of us need? We need to get back on track. So there's nothing wrong with this, and it can be a coffee exercise. I mean, you can download the planned path, or you can even just take a piece of paper and write down 101 things and give yourself like 2 or 3 lines on each one, and just start thinking about, well, what are my goals in the area of my health, for example, my health and wellness? And what are the goals in the area? And I make them like 10-year goals so that, in fact, on a 101 goals, you might have one section's 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals, next 90-day goals. See, it's not so much, 101 is not that much when you start breaking them down like that. Also, if you have health and wellness goals, maybe you have spiritual goals, you have career goals, or your goals for your business, actually, it doesn't take very long at all to start thinking about 101 goals. But the fun thing about 101 goals is it really gets you thinking. It really stimulates the neurons in your brain. I mean, you're just kind of like back on it, and you're not feeling like, well, I'm just going to sit around and let the summer just slip away, or I'm just going to let this season get away from me, whatever season it is in your life. Now you're like, oh, I've got some goals. I got some magic I want to create in my life. This will really help drive you forward. And that is what you want to do when you're trying to re-stimulate yourself, right? You want something to live for, something to get excited about. 101 goals, that activity of doing that will cause this to happen. Okay, the next thing you know, you're going to have some pep in your step and you're going to feel like getting up in the morning. And whether you're working a 3-day work week because it's summer, or whether you're working 6 days a week, whatever it is that you're doing in this season, you're going to feel rejuvenated when you actually put down 101 goals. It's actually a marvelous thing. And we found that even after the pandemic, when people were feeling very, I don't know what to do, and I don't know if I can set any goals, and I'm not sure if I feel up to this, and they kind of were in this knee-jerk reaction, some even in a fetal position kind of thing in their mind, writing down 101 goals stimulated them. 100% of them. It was pretty awesome. So we've used it on many business owners over the last couple of years, and professionals and entrepreneurs. And I've used it myself. And I have to tell you, nothing gets the blood working like putting down a bunch of goals in a bunch of different categories and really thinking about, what do you want? What do you really want? And another thing with goal setting, after you think about what you really want and you write these things down, I mean, some of them should be BHAGs, that big, hairy, audacious goal, the thing that's the lifetime goal, put some of those on that list, right? Get stimulated. Start thinking about, where do you want to be in 5 years? And you know what? If you do absolutely nothing, you're going to be exactly where you are right now, most likely, or worse. But if you put down some goals and you write them down, and then you spend a little bit of time thinking about that, and then this 101 goals that you have for the rest of the summer, if you just have that where you have your coffee every morning and you just sit down and kind of look at that before you start your day, I'm going to tell you what, it is going to motivate you. You're going to find yourself doing things, going places, and making your time count. So yesterday we talked a lot about things that you could do that would make your time count. We talked about working smarter instead of harder. And if you're looking for that video, you can go to CIBN TV and you can find it there. If you're in the networking group on Facebook, it is in the media section under videos. It's the last one, it was there. And if you are finding us just somewhere online, you're watching along, probably CIBN TV on YouTube would be the easiest place to find yesterday's video, where I talked about time productivity and how to work smarter instead of harder, and gave you lots of great tips. Today, I'm more on motivation. Right now, that 101 thing is all about motivation. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is color coding your calendar, which again comes back to productivity and tracking. Because if you don't know what it is that you're spending your time on, you really don't know what is working and what is not working. So let's talk about the color-coded calendar. Now, I use Google Calendars, and I think many people do use Google Calendars or an online calendar today. I used to use, the day timer that you write in. I still like one, but I found the more work I did at home on the internet, it seemed cumbersome to carry it around. So I switched over to a Google Calendar. When I used a calendar that I wrote in, I like to see the entire month up there because I had events and things I had to attend and places I needed to block off. And I like to have a month by the month picture. And I also like to have a by the week picture. And I like to have the daily thing. Now I'm kind of crazy about that kind of stuff. I like to see ahead. I like to know what's going on. What am I working on this week is one of the questions that I'm always wanting to satisfy on Sunday night before I begin my work week. There's a clue for you. Have a look at the calendar Sunday night. So, last year we spent, oh my goodness, almost 6 months traveling and only worked a day to 2.5 days a week for 6 months because we organized ourselves to get a lot done in 2.5 days. This year, I'm working through a lot of the summer, but I'm working only 3 days a week. I have my grandson here with me right now, and I like to spend time with him and do fun things. So I'm trying to get everything done in 3 days a week, and sometimes another half day, but usually 3 days. So how do I organize myself? Well, yesterday we talked about several different things that I do that keeps me organized, but the color-coded calendar is really an important piece of this because I use now this Google Calendar, and what I like to do is every sales appointment that I have is one color. So I can count very quickly by looking at my calendar for the last couple of weeks. I can tell how many sales appointments I had. Because when you're running your own business and your business is often growing or shrinking based off of the appointments that you have and the deals that you close, you should know how many deals you had. You should know how many appointments you had. And it's not always about closing the sale. It's about the number of appointments that you have had that you could have potentially had a sale in. I can't control how many people buy my consultation packages or how many people join CIBN Connect. I can't control if somebody is going to become a member or a mastermind member or a sponsor of the network. I cannot control their decisions. What I can control is the number of appointments that I have. That I can control. I can book more. I can actually turn on lead generators and make them go faster and more. And I can get, follow-up calls done. I can have my VAs do the follow-up calls for me and book them right into my calendar. But the one piece of my time that's incredibly important is the time that I spend in front of prospects sharing what it is that, what the offer is. And I'm sure that for you and your business, that is also very important. So you want to color code those meetings so that you can quickly see how many you had. Because you know what? If you want to double your revenue, a very simple way of doubling your revenue is to look through your calendar and go, well, I had only 10 customer appointments last month. 10 prospect appointments where they were going to become a client. And I made only 2 sales. An average salesperson might only close 1 out of 5. All right. My closing ratio is a bit higher than that, but maybe that's what a closing ratio looks like for someone watching us. That's okay. But you know what you know now? You now know I had 10 appointments. I made 2 sales. That was 1 out of 5. And if I want to double my income, it is literally as simple as booking 20 appointments. Double the number of the appointments that you have in the time that you're going to be working, and you will literally double the amount of revenue that is coming in. And if you keep that habit up and focus on that habit, guess what will happen to your revenue over a year's time? It's really very remarkable. Focusing on that one thing can make such a big difference in the bottom line of your business. And the more revenue that you have that is coming in like that, it gets even cooler because you can double your revenue. You could actually then hire a virtual assistant to help you perhaps in the delivery of the product and service to your clients. And then you would actually be able to go back to your calendar and double it again. Instead of having 20 appointments in a month, you could go to 40. And if you went to 40, that would once again double the bottom line revenue that's coming into your business, even in busy times. Because even in times where I'm only working 3 days a week, I can actually, if I focus on sales, it's bringing in more money in less time. And then I can have other people work on fulfillment when I'm taking those days off. How cool is that? So that's what it means to work smarter instead of harder. The color-coded calendar lets me do things like I have these people who do things for me, like virtual assistants. I have student teams that work for CIBN Connect that we get through a program called Ripen. It's a kind of a government program. There are programs like that in the USA as well. In fact, if you reach out to us at CIBN Connect, I can give you some of their names. And some of our members are very skilled in getting, that kind of help from students. There's grant help available as well, both in the US and in Canada. And I'm sure that there is in other countries of the world as well. You just have to have a connected network of people who tells you how to get this stuff. It's pretty cool. But who's going to go after it and do the work of that thing? Well, I tell you what, students are a great option because they're usually with you short term. Sometimes they even work for free because they might be needing an internship to complete their course. And that's another way to, increase the amount of work that you're getting done without you being the one that's doing it. So as I'm speaking right now, I have 5 students that are working for me in 2 different programs right now, and they're doing a marvelous job. Oftentimes, digital marketing is one of the things where students can help you. Well, if you know what you need, it's very, very effective because they can now go out and do stuff like, for one of the things they're doing for me right now is they're building backdrops for social media, backdrops for Zoom meetings. They're putting together things like downloadable things that you can use to get people to click on something for a landing page. They can build landing pages oftentimes. They can do stuff like build a website or add to a website. So do you want to be doing that all by yourself? Or would you like to have somebody help you? You see, you can get a lot more done with many, many hands. But here's what I do on my calendar. Whenever I'm training anybody, whether it's a student or it's a team that I'm working with or a group of people that are coming together, like a group of volunteers, perhaps I have a group of volunteers that helps me with the women's events. I color those things in the same color. They're all in gray. So I know when I look at my calendar how much time I spent training people last week. I can easily see that. I have client appointment times where I'm talking to the members of the organization of CIBN Connect or the sponsors. We have deliverables that we promise them. So when I'm having a client appointment, I usually color those orange. And I can quickly see how many people that I personally service and look after in my organization last week. It helps me keep very organized in my time when I'm doing this. I have a side hustle, okay? Some people are like, how do you do all this stuff? I run 2 businesses and I have a side hustle. How do I get all that time done? And I still only work 3.5 days a week maximum in the summertime. How do I do that? Well, it's quite simple. My side hustle is all colored in green. I can quickly tell how many hours I spent at it, what kind of work I did, and it's the same kind of thing. I have lists that I do and I prioritize. I follow the same system for each of these things. Tomorrow, on the last day of the challenge, I'm going to talk to you about team building and some of the cool tools that I have used to multiply myself through team building. So that'll be what we cover on the last day of productivity in this challenge. But let's come back to that color-coded calendar. You getting an idea? What is it that you do every day that you need to color code? For some of you, it might even be things like the time that you spend in health and wellness. Do you go for a walk? Do you have a workout? Do you take regular breaks where you drink more water? What is it? Put those things also into the color-coded calendar so that you can see just how much time do you spend on that. So yesterday we were talking about tracking time, and today we're talking about this wonderful idea of color coding the calendar, which will completely help you to track your time in the future as well. All right, so I think we've given you enough to work with today. We talked about writing down 101 goals and color coding your calendar. And I think if you go back over yesterday's video at CIBN TV on YouTube, I think that's going to give you a lot to work with. Please be sure to subscribe while you're there. Happy capitalism, and I'll see you one more time tomorrow. Have a great day.